everyone, this is Jack. Well, in this video, I'm going to mention about 20 vegetables you can start growing in March. Now, I'm in zone 9. So if you're in a lower zone, such as zone 8, 7 or below, for each zone lower than 9, you can add 10 days to all the dates I mentioned. And if you're in Southern Hemisphere, you can add 6 months and watch the September video, which I'll link in the description as well. So without taking any more time, let's get started. Now, the very first one is my favorite, and that's sweet potatoes. Now you can start growing sweet potato slips in March, and sweet potato slips are really easy to grow. All you do is take a sweet potato, submerge it halfway in water, and then the slips will start to emerge from the sweet potatoes and they will form roots. You can plant sweet potato slips outside in your garden about 2 weeks after your last frost date. So I plant these outside in April, and these take about 4 to 6 weeks to grow. So it's perfect time in March to start growing your sweet potato slips. I have a complete video on just growing sweet potato slips. So if you want to check it out, I'll leave a link in the description and you can check it out after this video. Next, potatoes, which is also my favorite. And the best time to plant your potatoes is just about a week before your last frost date. So for me, I plant my potatoes around March 20th. So for every zone lower, you will add 10 more days. For example, for zone 7, you'll be adding 20 days, so you'll be planting your potatoes around April 10th to April 20th or 30th, so right around that time period. If your potato is the size of an egg or smaller, plant the whole potato. Make sure you only have 1 to 2 eyes on potatoes. So you have lots of eyes, it will create a lot more plants, and the potatoes will be much smaller. You'll get a lot more potatoes, but very small potatoes. But if you keep only 1 or 2 eyes on your potatoes, you'll get fewer potatoes, but very large potatoes. I have a separate video on the experiment that I conducted on this, and you can check out the results as well. Now, if the potatoes that you're planting are bigger than the size of an egg, you can cut the potatoes in half or even quarters, depending on the size of the potato. If you do cut the potato, make sure the scar heals up very nicely. It takes about a week for the scars to heal up, and then you can plant potatoes directly in your garden. When you're planting your potatoes, make sure you plant them at least 4 to 6 inches deep, and they are at least 12 inches apart. Potatoes love rich organic matter, and they also like slightly acidic soil. They love pH of about 5.0 to 5.5. To lower the pH level of your soil, you can use elemental sulfur, and you can also use vinegar mixed with water to water your soil as well to lower the pH. Now, at the time of planting potatoes, I use very well balanced organic slow release fertilizer, and I also use iron phosphate because that gets rid of earwigs. Earwigs can eat the leaves of potato plants, so it actually helps a lot to add iron phosphate in your soil, and they'll get rid of earwigs and your plants will be safe. I have a separate video on everything you need to know on how to plant potatoes, so check that out if you're interested. You can harvest potatoes 3 months after planting, and potatoes are a lot of fun to grow. You can also grow potatoes in containers. Leave some room on the top. This way you can keep adding more soil as the plants grow. This is equal to hilling or mounding the potatoes. Next, I'm covering summer vegetables that are slow growing and take much longer to grow, and those are tomatoes, eggplants, and peppers. Now, I start my tomatoes, eggplants, and peppers from seed indoors in February because my last frost date in March, and they'll be ready to plant outside towards the end of March. However, if you're in zone 7 and below, March is the perfect time to start growing your tomatoes, eggplants, and peppers indoors. Now, if you're in zone 9, 10 or above, it's still not too late to start growing your tomatoes, eggplants, and peppers and other summer vegetables. So you can still start those in March. Tomato varieties are also determinate and indeterminate. Now, the determinate varieties produce all at once, while indeterminate keep producing all the way until your first frost. Make sure you do not add too much fertilizer in the soil for your tomatoes. Otherwise, you'll get a lot of foliage and no tomatoes. Regarding eggplants, I love to grow Japanese eggplants and black beauty eggplants. About peppers. Now, hot peppers require full sun. However, sweet peppers such as bell peppers can be grown in partial shade. Now, one tip about peppers: they love a lot of fertilizer, especially manure. So if you add a lot of manure in your soil, you will grow lots of peppers in your garden. Next, I'm covering summer vegetables that are really fast growing, and they are squashes, cucumbers, and green beans. And now when you sow these seeds, they are very quick to germinate, and they grow into seedlings in about 2 to 3 weeks. So they're ready to plant outside in about 2 to 3 weeks. So I start my squashes, cucumbers, and green beans toward the middle of March, around March 15th. so I can plant them outside in the first week of April. Now when I'm talking about squashes, I mean soft squash such as zucchini and yellow crooked squash. You still want to hold off on growing hard shell squashes or winter squashes such as butternut squash and spaghetti squash. When planting zucchini and other squash, make sure you plant them at least 3 to 4 feet apart because they can grow really big. If you plant them closer, about 2 feet apart, make sure you prune them for proper pollination and airflow. Now many gardeners have trouble with cucumbers growing bitter, and that has to do with watering. You have to provide consistent and frequent watering to your cucumbers. So watering every day in the morning works really well to grow nice cucumbers that are not bitter. You can also grow Armenian cucumbers, which are actually melons but not cucumbers. They actually taste like cucumbers, but they are melons. But I hold off on growing my melons in April. The spacing between green beans is about 3 to 4 inches apart, which is really close. So what I do is I plant my seeds in a rain gutter and I let my green beans grow in a rain gutter so I can transplant the entire contents of rain gutter right into my garden. This way I don't have to individually plant green beans every 3 to 4 inches. Now you can also apply these techniques on peas and cilantro because cilantro does not like transplanting, and this technique does not introduce any transplant shock. Next up, leafy greens. Now you can sow the seeds of lettuce, Swiss chard and spinach in March and start growing them indoors. Now lettuce is perfect to grow in March. You can start growing the seedlings of lettuce in March and then plant them outside after the danger of frost is over. Lettuce loves cool weather and it grows really well between 55 degrees Fahrenheit to 75 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 12 degrees Celsius to 24 degrees Celsius. If the temperature goes above 80 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 26 degrees Celsius, lettuce will bolt and start producing seed. You can also directly sow lettuce seeds outside in your garden 2 weeks before your last frost. So I sow my lettuce seeds outside in mid-March. For zone 8, it would be end of March, and zone 7, beginning of April. The seed depth of lettuce should be 1/4 of an inch deep, plant spacing 12 inches apart, and row spacing also 12 inches apart. You can start harvesting lettuce leaves just about a month after planting, and you can also harvest the whole head of lettuce just about 2 to 3 months after planting, depending on the variety. The Swiss chard is another favorite leafy green to grow, and I prefer Swiss chard over kale all day long. You can start Swiss chard seeds indoors 1 to 2 months before your last frost. So March is a good time to start Swiss chard seeds indoors for zone 7 and below. Now once the Swiss chard seeds grow about 2 to 3 inches tall, you can transplant Swiss chard outside even 2 to 3 weeks before your last frost because Swiss chard is frost hardy. You can also directly sow Swiss chard seeds out in your garden 2 to 4 weeks before your last frost. I sow Swiss chard seeds outside in zone 9 in the first week of March. You can start harvesting Swiss chard leaves as soon as the plant gets about 4 sets of leaves. You can keep harvesting older leaves and that will encourage new leaves to grow. Swiss chard is a heavy producer and you will not be disappointed if you start growing Swiss chard. You can directly sow spinach seeds in your garden 2 weeks before your last frost. The easiest way to plant spinach seeds is to scatter the seeds in your garden bed and then cover with about 1/4 of an inch of soil. Spinach is really fast growing and you can add spinach to your soups, salads, and even saute spinach with potatoes as well. You can start harvesting spinach just about 40 to 45 days after seeding. And now let's move on to herbs. Now the herbs you can grow indoors, start growing indoors in March are basil, parsley, rosemary, thyme, cilantro, fenugreek. There are just too many to name. Now the basil benefits from growing in partial shade. So if you grow basil in partial shade, the leaves become really soft and big. If you grow them in full sun, the leaves become very tough and small. When growing cilantro, split the seeds of cilantro and your germination rate will be much quicker. Now cilantro also loves temperature below 80 degrees Fahrenheit and you can keep harvesting cilantro leaves as cilantro is growing. About fenugreek, soak the seeds of fenugreek in water for 24 hours before planting and you'll get really good germination rate. And you can also apply this technique of soaking the seeds on other vegetables as well. Next up, onions. Now you can grow your onions from seeds or sets. The cheapest way to grow your onions is from seeds. You can fill your tray with growing medium and then sprinkle some onion seeds on top and then add about 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 an inch of growing medium on top of the seeds. When the seedlings become about 3 to 4 inches, you can plant them outside. You can harvest the onions as green onions while they're growing, or you can let them grow to maturity and harvest the big bulbs. Next up, root vegetables. Now you can directly seed root vegetables in your garden in March depending on your zone. So I start my root vegetables towards the middle of March. And the root vegetables you can grow are radish, carrot, beets, and turnips. While carrots and beets take about 3 months to harvest, turnips are ready in about 2 months, and radish you can start harvesting after just 1 month. Now, one thing about growing carrots is that you must have loose soil to grow strong and straight carrots. Otherwise, your carrots will grow crooked. So you must grow your carrots on berms or raised beds. Now, there are many other summer vegetables that you should really hold off on growing in March because it's just not hot enough in March to grow them. And those are pumpkins, winter squashes, gourds, corn, okra, and melons, especially watermelons and cantaloupes. Those are best suited to grow in April after the danger of frost is completely over. I also have a video on seeds you can start growing in February. So if you're in zone 7 or below, that's exactly what you'll be doing now. So check out that video right here, and I'll see you in another video.